Hello, my name is Jonay Neris from the University of La Laguna, and I'm going to present the work entitled Analysis of Spanish University Training in Climate Change and Restoration of Degraded Land. This paper describes the skills covered according to different programs and certifications in the training currently offered in Spain in restoration of degraded land. We will start with a brief introduction. Land degradation is either a human-induced or natural process, which negatively affects the productivity of ecosystems. The direct causes of land degradation are geographically specific. Climate change, including short and long-term variation in temperature and precipitation, is expected to be an additional stress on rate of land degradation. Currently, the concerns about the effect that certain human activity have on environmental manifest itself in various areas such as public works, mining or agriculture. Certainly, land planning and environmental management require taking into account the environmental impact of these activities and the measures necessary for their mitigation, correction or compensation. Specific regulation mandate an environmental impact study to certain projects to identify, characterize and assess the impact of human actions on different environment variables. Such studies require professionals with an integrated environment training to understand the relationship between environmental factors and functions. Environmental restoration is the next step after the ecosystem diagnosis. It involves the restoration of ecologic functions or, when it's not possible, to rehabilitate specific elements. Therefore, it is clearly a booming professional and research area consolidated and increasingly required for the proper application of the European environmental policies. Now I will talk about the degrees and universities related to restoration of degraded land. Currently in Spain, there are several curricula that provide training related to environmental restoration and professional competencies in the field, as the bachelor degrees in environmental science, in forestry, agriculture engineering, engineering in mining and energy resources, and graduate programs such as master's degrees. The restoration of degraded land is a subject where knowledge gained in many subjects previously studied is required, as for example chemistry, biology, graphic expression, hydrology, groundwater geology, or soil science. These subjects have different names but have a common axis, the restoration of degraded land, which can be ecological or engineering based. Regarding the objectives and competencies in environmental restoration study programs, the curricula studied related to the restoration of degraded land have some common goals: identifying, classifying and diagnosing the main actors of degradation processes acting in the environment. Besides, areas of ecological restoration can be classified into restoration of areas affected by intense agricultural cultivation, by forestry, restoration of very localized but heavily degraded areas such as mining areas, restoration of areas affected by civil works and infrastructure, or affected by erosion, restoration of contaminated soils, restoration of landfills, of coastal ecosystem, ecosystem restoration and design of urban and suburban areas, and restoration of dune areas. The goals of restoration training should be to provide the concept and regulation on environmental restoration, and to handle the methods and techniques to develop strategies and measures for restoration and monitoring and evaluation of results. Learn reforestation techniques, apply different corrections to reduce the impact during and after the work of materials movements. The skill that the students should acquire can be summarized in identifying the problem in terms of environmental impact and proposing appropriate solution to environmental restoration, having the ability to integrate human activities and their impact on the environment, designing restoration actions, identifying and explaining ecological principles for ecological restoration, the ability to use the techniques to protect the forest environment, restore forest hydrology, and conserve biodiversity. Now I will talk about the contribution of the European Master in Climate Change and Restoration of Degraded Land to technical training related to environmental restoration. The European Master in Climate Change and Restoration of Degraded Land program, RECLAND, it's an innovative education product based on recent research. use enhanced technological collaboration on climate change and degraded land web-based applications, and includes innovative educational and training materials available, which is expected to have a significant impact on staff and practitioners. The learning materials developed in the project will become available to a wider community by using virtual learning portal and reusable learning objects, including audio and video materials. The pedagogical methodology will be tailored to the specific content, which aims to encourage the acquisition of knowledge and formation of specific skills. Advanced and specialized and multidisciplinary training is provided in the master's program, so that graduates can focus on their future academic, scientific or professional careers. The course of evaluation of impacts and environmental restoration and intended learning outcomes are routed through 3 areas: teaching and research work, primary and professional activities related to environmental, and planning and consulting on the environment. The curriculum considered by this project for the Master Science module is open and complementary to similar programs in the European Union that fit the European qualification framework in accordance with Bologna principle, with a special emphasis made on the competence approach and non-credit module structure to allow student and staff exchange for placement of graduate, and intended to deal with issues of social importance in an area of business based on principles of natural disaster, preventive actions, and suitable development, and at last in English, in order to enhance students' and teachers' mobility and feasibility of their incorporation into the European higher education area. Summarizing, the restoration of degraded areas address a wide range of environmental problems. Its core consists of ecological restoration, although in its boundaries it includes landscape architecture, afforestation, treatment of contaminated soils, agriculture and livestock, among other areas. Undergraduate training in this field consists of optional training programs. The learning outcomes are essential for the training in environmental impact studies and environmental restoration technicians. They are important for future professionals in the field of environmental planning and management, environmental consulting, evaluating natural system and landscape assessment, both in public and private companies. However, it's necessary to standardize the content and skill of the subject due to the disparity of concept and complexity of the aspect to be covered. The European Master Program in Climate Change and Restoration of Degraded Areas is an innovative educational product which has demonstrated the significant benefit of the technological collaboration. The Master provides innovative education materials based on recent research that are expected to make a significant impact on professionals and experts throughout Europe. This work has been developed in the framework of the RECLAND project. It was funded by the European Union and under the Lifelong Learning Program, Erasmus program. You can find complementary information in the next references. And for more information and questions, please contact us using the email provided. Thank you very much for your attention.